Well, it's the holiday season, and here at Together in Style, we've been awfully busy, and I'm sure you've been busy too. There's so many parties to attend, there's so many parties to hold, and I have some great recipes to make sure that your guests are enjoying themselves and it's totally stress-free. Who doesn't like meatballs? But I'm not just gonna do your ordinary style meatballs. These meatballs are going to be specialty. Have a lot of flavor, a lot of fun, and a kick to go along with it. So every year I host Christmas Eve and I absolutely love it, but I'm always thinking about foods that are gonna be easy and that people can just kind of grab on the go. We have a lot of things coming up, like you have the Super Bowl, and before that we have New Year's Eve. So the meatballs are a fantastic option. I'm gonna do one sweet and spicy pork meatball that kind of has like an Asian flair to it. And also we're gonna do a buffalo chicken meatball because who doesn't like chicken wings, and especially when it comes to football season. So here's how I started. I made sure all of my ingredients are set out, and that way I'm not to forget a single thing. I've preheated my oven to 350. We're gonna make the meatballs first, and then while they're baking, we're going to make the sauce. So now it's time to make the sweet and spicy pork meatballs. So I'm gonna start off with 1.5 pounds of sweet and hot sausage. I just got it ground. I used 1 pound of the sweet and 1/2 pound of the hot sausage and just combined it together. I have 2 tablespoons of ground fresh ginger. I'm just going to add that into the mixture. And I also have a tablespoon of dried ginger. We're gonna add that to it as well. Now to add in a little bit of salt, I have some soy sauce. So we're gonna put that in there. And I chopped up 2 medium-sized onions. So at this point right now, I'm just gonna put about half of the onions in there and keep half of them for the other recipe. So I'll put those to the side. Okay, so we still need to bind this together because we can't just have all of this liquid in your meatballs or they'll just go to mush. So we need something to kind of make everything nice and solid. So I'm going to use just Chinese noodles. So I put them in just a little plastic baggie. And I'm just gonna take just a meat mallet or a pounder and just pound them out. And you're just gonna pound them till they're nice and fine. All right, now that I've finished just kind of pounding these out and making them nice and small, like little breadcrumbs, I'm gonna just measure out about 1/2 cup. So I'll just put those right in here. And I think we did probably pretty good here. All right, perfect. So we've got 1/2 cup. So I'm gonna add the 1/2 cup mixture into our pork and all of the different flavors. And I like to get my hands dirty, so just make sure that you wash your hands, get them nice and clean, and then we'll start rolling out all the meatballs. So now it's time to get your hands dirty. So we're just gonna mix this mixture all together and make sure that these breadcrumbs, well, the Chinese noodles anyway, get nicely dispersed all through the meat. Well, I've preheated my oven to 350 and it's all set now. I've also lined my baking sheets with some parchment paper. So I'm just gonna take a small little dollop and put it in my hand. I don't want the meatballs to be too big because I don't want them to cook too long. And I also want them to be bite-sized. So if I'm going to plan on either just having them single with some toothpicks for people to pop in their mouths, or if they're going to be on sliders, they're easy to eat. Well, I've just finished this tray of meatballs, so I'm going to put this aside and we're gonna start on the buffalo chicken meatballs, and that way we can get both of them into the oven and start on the sauces. So on to the buffalo chicken meatballs. The thing is that when you're cooking buffalo chicken meatballs, it might be sometimes hard to find ground chicken. So you can substitute for ground turkey. Both of these meats are very lean, so you do have to add in a lot of flavor to them to make them taste good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some poultry seasoning in there. I have some salt and pepper that I'm gonna add in there. I have just some minced up garlic, so we're gonna add that in there as well. And I did wanna add in some of these onions, so I'm gonna put a half of that in there. So since I cut up 2 onions and I've already used half of it, I had 1 onion, so this is a half of an onion. Put that in there. And on to having something that kind of binds everything together. In the last meatball, I used just Chinese noodles. So this time around, I'm going to use potato chips. So we're gonna add a half a cup of the crushed up potato chips. And that looks about perfect there. So we'll add those right in. And then I'm going to just take 2 tablespoons of Texas Pete. One, 2. You can use any kind of hot sauce you like, but this happens to be one of my favorites. All right, and now it's time to get your hands dirty again. Mix it all together. So now it's time to roll out the buffalo chicken meatballs. We're gonna have a really spicy sauce, so I didn't want to put too much of that hot sauce in the meatball mixture, plus it'd get just too liquidy. I'm also making the meatballs about the same size as I'm doing the pork meatballs because I'm gonna put them in the oven together and I want everything to cook evenly. So the meatballs are all rolled out. They're all about the same size, so they're ready to go into the oven, and the next step is to create the sauces. Now that the meatballs are in the oven, time to make the sauces. So I've started by just taking a stick of butter and melting it in my pan. And I'm going to add to it our onions. So just a half of an onion and soften those up. All right, so the butter is nice and melted and the onions are getting nice and soft and they'll start to get a little bit more transparent. And this is gonna be for our buffalo chicken meatball. So it's really simple. So we had 1 stick of butter. We have a half of a medium-sized onion just chopped up. I'm gonna take now a whole cup of our hot sauce and we're gonna put that in there. So that's gonna add in a lot of heat. So we're gonna add that. And about a teaspoon of salt and pepper. Mix that together. And just to add a little bit of creaminess and to cut down the heat, we're gonna just take a little bit of the ranch. Now I use lightly salted potato chips and I'm using light ranch just because I just used a stick of butter in the sauce. So anywhere where I can catch, you know, a little bit of calories here and there, I'm totally gonna go for it. Great, and so we're just gonna mix this all together. All right, so now that we've gotten the buffalo chicken sauce done, we're going to start on the Asian sweet and spicy sauce for the pork meatballs. So all I'm going to do is start off with a base. So I have some chili sauce we're just gonna put right in here. So this was a great base. So I'm gonna put a half a cup of the hoisin sauce in and also a half a cup of plum sauce to kind of get that nice Asian flavor. So let me just start off by putting half of this in here. Great. And now a half a cup of this. This is gonna have such a great flavor. Add that right in there. Perfect. And to add a little salt, we're gonna just put in just a teaspoon of soy sauce, and the ground ginger that I had left over from the meatballs we're gonna put right in there. And now I'm gonna add a little bit of strawberry jam. I'm gonna add it just because I want it to have some kind of sweetness and also a little bit of thickness. So I have a tablespoon of strawberry jam. All right, and let's mix all of this together. One of the great things about making meatballs is that they taste even better as they sit in the sauce. So we're gonna make the meatballs ahead of time, and that way we have a little extra time to get ready before the party. All right, so the meatballs are done. I'm just gonna take and put them right into the sauce and give them a quick stir. And you can do one of two things. You can put them out immediately, or if you have like a crock pot that you might wanna just kind of keep warm and have people grazing throughout the entire event, you can put them in there as well. All right, and we'll let these just sit there while we get our buffalo chicken out. I think people get intimidated about making meatballs, but they're really not that hard to do. And so yummy. All right, so we've finished both appetizers. So quick, so delicious, and everybody will love them. I mean, there's something for everybody. Who doesn't like buffalo chicken? And definitely, who doesn't like Asian food? So perfect combinations for a party. I'm just gonna take a quick bite of each one of these. Perfectly done, nice and crispy on the outside, but nice and juicy on the inside. Great sweet, but definitely has an Asian flair to it. You can totally taste the ginger. So now on to the buffalo chicken. This is definitely gonna be one of my husband's favorites. Wow, talk about some heat. Definitely adds a little bit of a little punch to the mouth. But hey, that's what buffalo wings do. So having a buffalo chicken meatball, I suppose, does the same thing. I hope that you've enjoyed the recipes, and I really hope that you enjoy entertaining this holiday season together in style.